Good evening, friends. Welcome to Three Chicks. Oh, no, this one's Chicks and Salsa tonight.
It
My
is.
apologies. To the side of me, we have Megan Price, the Queen of Hoops, and we have Candy Edling below from South Florida Tribune. Ladies, how are you this evening?
Good. How are you,
Doing
Carrie?
really well.
I think I'm cooler than you guys, not by actions, but the temperature in my region.
Maybe by both. You never know.
Yeah. It's 103 here. Yeah, it's 103.
My son would
Pretty
have other
chill.
opinion on that. So
Well, it was supposed to be 105, so I guess I should just be glad it's not 105. Candy, you said it's 105 where
It
you're
was
at? Oh,
it was 106 in the temperature in the car on the thermometer. I'm like, oh, midday. So I'm like, and it's humid. Like it's not
yeah.
just 106 temperature. I mean, it's hot and humid. It was hot. They on the radio they were talking about normally Florida's hot and humid, especially this time of year. But like the minute you walked out the door this morning, it like just hit you like
Yes.
hard to breathe, like humid, hot. But it's what
that's late July, August for us typically, and I don't like it because it just sucks the air out of your lungs, and you're like feel like you're choking. Well, tonight we're going to cover the WNBA, the NBA draft, our thoughts on that. We've got some exciting things from NCAA world in both women's sports and with the baseball, as well as a surprise ending. So, Megan, do you want to take us off with the WNBA?
I am not sure who's commenting this, but because if you're not on one of our direct pages, if you're in the group for some reason, it doesn't show your comments. But this is not the sip off. This is actually Chicks and Salsa. The sip off will be back at the beginning of the NBA season, so be ready for that. We'll have a whole new look, all that. Um, yeah, Joseph, this is Chicks and Salsa. I see you, honey. Okay. So last night we had a thriller between the champs and between the Indiana Fever. So the Vegas Aces played the Indiana Fever. Aces were at home last night. The Aces come out on top 88 to 80, but this was a really close game until like probably the last minute or so. And that's when the Aces kind of got ahead a little bit more, but they had a ton. It was an excellent game. Christy Tolliver tied the game up with like I don't know, 2 minutes to go or so, but it was definitely a battle of the bigs. So on the Fever side of things, Aaliyah Boston, your rookie who got a starting position as an all-star, went for 23 and 14. Melissa Smith went for 13, 2 and 14. And then Erica Wheeler went for 23 and 3. Actually, it was Erica Wheeler who tied the game up, excuse me. And then Mitchell had 14 as well. And then on the Aces side of things, KP had 17. Asia had 24, 3 and 10. Chelsea Gray had 25, 5 and 4. Jackie Young had 16. And then CP3, even though she had a tough time scoring with only 1 point, she had 12 boards as well. So really exciting game. I do think that Indiana has improved quite a bit. Like, while you might look at their record and they don't look like maybe the best team out there, I think they have 5 wins right now. That's all the wins they had all season long last year. So that's definitely an improvement. I think that Aaliyah Boston is somebody who has immediately impacted that team. And yes, Joseph, I agree. She is definitely going to be a problem. She and not just how she performs, but I think she makes everybody around her better. Like there's several players. Like Smith was on the team last year. Mitchell was on the team last year, and really Mitchell was the best player on the team last year. And they're just much more cohesive. I think Aaliyah just really brings out the best in them. And so also want to shout out their coach because this is her rookie season as well. And so you walk into a team that finished dead last year. You have the number one pick, obviously. And so you have Aaliyah Boston, who, as we know, she's amazing. She's really come and had an excellent, an immediate impact, something similar to what we seen last year with Ryan Howard going to Atlanta. Like she immediately, hey Mike, how are you? She had an immediate impact on the Atlanta Dream. And I feel like this is very similar to what we saw out of Atlanta. Atlanta also had a rookie coach last season as well. So it's going to be something that they're going to have to build upon. And they're going to have to, I think this year, they're probably going to maybe not overperform. But I think next year they're really going to have to adjust because they're going to perform well enough that they're probably not going to have an extremely high draft pick. But tonight's games, we are going to have the Liberty versus the Sun in Connecticut. In fact, that's underway currently. And then we have the Storm versus the Lynx there in Minnesota. And for your late game, you got the Wings versus the Mercury. So I'm personally going to pick Connecticut, Seattle, and Dallas, of course. Dallas needs a comeback win. They have fallen in the power rankings, but they're still sitting pretty average right now on the regular rankings. But I'm going to go over the power rankings with y'all right now. So the top four have stayed the same, and they are actually the same as the regular standings as well. You got Vegas at number 1, who is 13-1. You got Connecticut at number 2, who is 12-3, and then you have the New York Liberty, who is 9-3. They are sitting at number 3, and then you have the Washington Mystics at number 4, who are 8-5. So those are the exact same as the power rankings. The power rankings come out every single week, so it's based off your performance in that 1 week period. So they don't actually match up with the actual standings. So at number 5, you have Indiana, who is 5-9 right now. They were number 5, they are up 1 spot in the power rankings. They are actually in the standings. They are number 8. At number 6, you have LA in the power rankings. They are 7-7, and they are actually number 5 in the standings. And then at number 7 in the power rankings, you have Atlanta, who are 5-7, and they are actually the exact same. They are number 7 in the standings as well. Then you have Minnesota at number 8 in the power rankings. They are 4-9. They are actually at number 10 in the standings. And then you have Seattle at number 9, who are 4-9. They're actually they're actually 11th in the standings. And then at number 10 in the power rankings, you have Dallas, who is 6-8, and they are actually 6th in the standings. At number 11, you have Chicago, who is 5-9, and they're actually 9 in the standings. And then you have Phoenix, who is last in the power rankings and last in the standings as well. The Mercury has also had some other news. They moved on from their head coach. I don't want to say fired, but they moved on from their head coach, Vanessa Nygaard. Not only with this 2-12 or this 2-10 start, but they also, you have to take into account last year the struggles they had as well. They did make the playoffs, but they struggled. They had drama between DT and Skylar. They also had drama with Skylar and their head coach. So hopefully they can get Skylar Diggins-Smith back. She missed the last couple games of the season and then the playoff game as well because she was actually pregnant at the time. She has since had the baby and she's back in the gym. So maybe, I don't know, she may not be in game shape yet, understandably so, but maybe she can come back for the last half of the season.
Who was it that is getting ready to break 10,000 points? Was that
DT? Well, she already has the most points. Like when she hit 8,000, I think she had the most points. She hit 9,000. I don't know if it was last season or at the very end of the season before that, but she will definitely break 10,000 points. So, I mean, she's already at the most, but she will definitely break 10,000 points this season. At age 41 and season 20, is it season 20?
19, you said?
Season 19 or 20. And she's still averaging 15 points, 4.5 assists, 3.5 boards, and almost 1 steal a game too. So even being 41 years old, she's still out there playing defense, you know? So definitely would like to see the go out a little better. She does have 2 years on her contract. So she has this season and next season. But I think DT, I mean, she's similar to any other of the greatest that have done it. If they decide they want to be done at the end of the season, I'm sure they'll rework that contract and she won't play. I can't see her going out like this. So even if they finish badly, I see her coming back next season most likely. She has said that she wants to play in the international or in the Paris games as well. So, and then we also had the players of the week that came out. So your Eastern Conference player of the week is Alyssa Thomas for the Connecticut Sun. I mean, she's so close to averaging a triple-double. She's points per game, she's averaging 14. Rebounds, she's averaging 11.7. And then on assists, she's averaging 8.7. And then your Western Conference player of the week, no surprise here, A'ja Wilson. She's your reigning MVP and defensive player of the year. She is averaging 24 points per game, 11 rebounds per game, and then 2 blocks per game as well. Wow. And then tonight's games, like I said, I think I'm going to take Connecticut because they're at home. Seattle, I think they can beat the Lynx even though they're at home. I think Seattle, they just have a couple of pieces that need to kind of get back into the groove. Kia Nurse is coming off of injury. They're missing a few players as well. Gabby Williams hasn't come back from Europe yet or from France yet. And I see Joe Lloyd having a big game, and if Kia Nurse can hit double digits, I expect them to win that game. Dallas, they had a couple bad weeks, and so I think like this might be a bounce back game for them. But on the bright side for the Mercury, it does seem like their interim coach, Coach Blue, it does seem like everybody's smiling more, everybody's happy a little bit more. So maybe that kind of lifted that pressure off, and they can just go out and have fun and play basketball.
Wasn't there one of the stars of one of the teams that just went down? She like tore her Achilles or knee.
So this is Brianna Jones. She played for the Connecticut Sun. Unfortunately, she did rupture her Achilles, and so she will be out obviously for this season, maybe next season. It just depends on her recovery process. Everybody's different, obviously, but as you know, it's basically the worst injury that you can have, so just well wishes to her and a speedy recovery. We did hear that her surgery went really well, and we should see Connecticut's going to have to kind of go through some changes there, but their coach is also in their rookie season, and shout out to her, Stephanie White, because she has done an amazing job over there, because they lost their head coach, Kurt Miller. He went over to the Sparks, and then they lost John Paul Jones, who was the reigning MVP at the time. And she went to go play for the New York Liberty. So for me, I didn't know what Connecticut was going to do. They were a complete shock to me. I figured they were going to be middle of the road. They still had very good players. Brianna Jones, Alyssa Thomas, DeWanna Bonner. That's your big three over there. DeWanna Bonner has won a championship before with DT. I want to say 2014, I think, over there with the Mercury. So she is the only person on the team that has actually won a championship. But they also have Dejanay Carrington, who played for Baylor a couple of years ago. They had a deep tournament run. She's excellent. She might have to move up to a starting position though. And we'll see how that goes. But then they have Natisha Heidelman as well. I want to say her and DeWanna are married. So a married couple on the team. And I think maybe that kind of gives them an edge because they could probably practice at home together. So they were a surprise for me because it just felt like, there's tiers when we talk about any level of stardom, that there's tiers. And so, you have superstars, stars, and then up and comers, in my opinion. And so, like, I felt DeWanna, Alyssa, and Brianna, I felt like they were stars. They were solid stars. They weren't quite superstars. John Quell, on the other hand, is your superstar. And so my thought was, like, if any one of them can actually step up and be a superstar, well, they'll be great. Well, all three of them really stepped up. And so losing Brianna is going to hurt, but they're pretty deep. They're pretty deep over there. The only shock that I've really had this season so far, besides Connecticut being better than anticipated, has been, Dee Richards got cut from the New York Liberty, and she was a fan favorite. She was a teammate of Dejanay Carrington at Baylor, and she played really excellent. She was a big part of them making the playoffs last season. No, they are not the first married couple on a team. I'm not sure who's commenting that. Actually, Penny and DT were on the same team. They both played for the Mercury. So even though Penny doesn't play anymore, Penny Taylor, but that is her wife. So no, they've been married for a while. And then my last couple pieces for women's basketball. Angel Reese was named the BET Player of the Year. And then Caitlin Clark was just named the NCAA Women's Collegiate Player of the Year. So congratulations to both of them. Well deserved.
Absolutely.
Wow. So switching to the NBA draft.
Yes, I was saying we're going to move into the NBA draft. Megan, did you want to take that, or do we want to hit the top? How would you like to approach this one?
Okay, so I'm going to talk about the first one, and then I feel like everybody else. So we had the number one pick, y'all. So we did what was expected. The Spurs took Victor Wembanyama at number one, and for me, I think it was basically a no-brainer. Everybody basically that was doing bad towards the end of the season, it looked like they were tanking for Victor. And for me, I know it was nerve-wracking whether we were going to get the number one pick or not. Not just because, I mean, obviously you want the number one pick, but there's also been rumblings about possibly moving the Spurs and San Antonio losing their team. And so this kind of negates that. So for me, it was kind of like a swoop in and save one of the oldest teams in the league, because this is one of the original ABA teams as well. One of the teams with the most history. So I definitely didn't want to lose San Antonio to lose their team. Even though when they were in the ABA, they were actually the Dallas Chaparrals. But that's just a little history on them. All right, as far as the rest of the draft, the Hornets owned the number 2 pick. They took Brandon Miller from Alabama. This was a little bit controversial. There was a lot of people that had him picked to go number 2, but there was some people that had him to go number 3, because Scoot Henderson was a viable pickup as well. I personally feel like Scoot probably would have fit in better at Charlotte. You put Melo at the 1, and then you have Scoot at the 2. And so then Portland had the number 3 pick. They ended up taking Scoot Henderson. And for me, that says a lot. That's real incendiaries too, because what are they going to do with Dame? Now they have 3 point guards. You've got Dame, you've got Anthony Simons, and then now you have Scoot Henderson. So exactly how are you going to work that out? Are you moving Dame? And of course, that's all over the airwaves right now. What is Dame going to do?
And don't we hear about that basically by Friday is when, like,
I think Thursday is when we have
Thursday?
Friday is the start of free agency. And so we'll see. I mean, it's all going to pop off, but I think we'll see some contracts and things the trades already be in order by Thursday. So, well, I did the top 3. Y'all want to do the rest?
Do you want me to do it, Candy, or do you have it? Because I have it pulled up, or you can go. All right, so we have at 4, Rockets took Amen Thompson, and then Stewart went right after with the Pistons at 5. So it was kind of neat to see the Twins go back to back. Magic took Anthony Black at 6, and he was from Arkansas. You have I'm going to butcher names, and I'm just going to put that out there up front. Bio Colby went to the Pacers at 7. We had Jarris Walker going to the Wizards at 8. Taylor Hendricks to the Jazz at 9. Carson Wallace went 10 to the Mavericks. The Magic picked up Jet Howard at 11. Derek Lively, the second, went to Thunder at the 12th. Grady Dick went to the Raptors at 13. Jordan Hawkins to the Pelicans on 14. 15, we saw Kobe Buffkin go to the Hawks. The Jazz got Keno George at 16. Lakers picked up Jalen Hood Schifano on number 17. You saw the Heat pick up Jamie Jaquez Jr. at 18. Brandon Podzimski, again, I apologize for the names, at 19 of the Warriors, and they rounded out the top 20 with Cam Whitmore going to the Rockets.
And I will add that 4 of those draft picks, 7, 8, 10, and 12, have already been traded to other teams already.
Right.
That was so interesting because we all know that I'm learning NFL or NHL and NBA and all this. So I was not understanding the whole he's been picked but traded. And I'm like, how does that even mind-blowing at that?
It happens a lot of times, but the one that was kind of confusing for me was they actually had Lively on the board. That's who they wanted. That's who the Mavericks wanted. They left him on the board, drafted Carson Wallace, and then traded with the Thunder. Like, why? If he was on the board, why didn't you take him? It's weird to me, but
there's lots of things that I just like. And again, forgive me. I'm going to have to do some understanding or someone to explain to me what the luxury tax is and how it's assessed, because I was really kind of trying to figure that out this morning, and so different to me. I mean, I understand cap, but
so it's similar to the NFL. We're going to have a new CBA coming out soon, so we're going to be playing this season on the old CBA, and then the new CBA is going to come out after that. And so like teams like the Golden State Warriors, who are massively over cap, are not going to be able to function that way, which is why they ended up moving Jordan Poole over to the Wizards. So we're going to see a lot of things. We're going to see some teams actually sharing some cap and, having to pay different players different amounts, and they're going to have to share just to be able to compensate and figure out how to work their rosters like that. So, the Lakers are having a tough time right now, having to figure out their salary issues too. But that is something that's going on throughout the league.
I was say Golden State, if they keep Draymond, is $150 million luxury tax.
Right.
So I'm like,
I think you keep him this year and then you move on.
Yeah, probably.
And so I want to address what Nick said. He said he doesn't think that Dame is moved until the season, if at all. I agree, because he's already came out today, all summer long, or all like off season long so far. He's been talking about how he doesn't want to be a part of a rebuild, and then today he said he's 10 toes down for Portland. So we don't know what Dame's doing.
I don't think Dame knows if we really want to be
right. Legitimate. And Tyler, I agree. I think the Rockets improved. I think they had an excellent draft. Obviously, they had a good draft last year as well. And then also, I think the biggest pickup for the Rockets this offseason has been Ime Udoka. So I think they actually have the right person, the right coach at the head of things. And I don't think he's somebody that I don't think he's going to be a yes man to the owner, and I don't think he's going to be a yes man to the players. Like, I do think he's going to be somewhat of a player's coach. I think you have to be in today's league at somewhat, unless you're Greg Popovich. But, because Pop going to do what he want to do. But, I think you do have to placate these players a little bit, and you do have to cater to them a little bit. But they also need to respect you. And so, I do see Ime probably being the right man for the job over there. But I also think Detroit improved a lot too, because of, they picked up Monty Williams. They actually ended up picking up Steven Silas, who is the Rockets' former head coach. And so he's going to be an assistant over there under Monty. They're actually really close. And so that is something that I really see being a positive out of teams that were at the bottom. I actually think probably, I don't know if the Rockets are going to be better than the Spurs, but I do think that they could be a team. They might be, because they've had more draft experience. We went in and we got one really good player, whereas they've had couple of good drafts. The same with Detroit. Detroit had the number 1 pick a couple of years ago, and they went and picked up Cade Cunningham. And so, but they've also had a couple of other high draft picks as well in the last 5 years. So, they got Ivy at number 5, and then their number 5 pick this year was really good too. One of the Thompson boys. So, they have a couple more good pieces, and then their coaching staffs have improved. So I see these teams not being great teams by any means, but I see them moving forward.
But Detroit also has a lot of salary cap room, so they could add,
right.
I was talking with Scott about it, and he said they could add Draymond Green. Like, they could bring someone like that over there and see, so that could make a big difference if they get, a good signing.
Like, we'll see what happens during free agency. Obviously, that starts Friday, and we're really excited, or I'm super excited about it. This offseason has been so exciting for me, and I know the Spurs have like 31 million available, or close to 32 million available for this season. So I expect us to sign somebody. I don't know if it'll be a big star. I have really wanted Kuzma is who I wanted, but he wants 30 million for the season, and I don't see us spending all that on one player. But I expect us to kind of probably go get a mid-tier free agent. We do need some veteran experience, probably somebody asking about 15 mil a year. And it's just kind of the San Antonio way. We don't do a whole lot during free agency, and we don't do a whole lot during the trade deadline. So we might just work it out with what we got.
And this offseason, I'm a little nervous because we have a couple of big people that are free agents Brooke Lopez and Chris Middleton for the Bucks. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes this offseason and what they, if Chris Middleton signs for less because he wants a lot, but he's also very injury prone. So it'll be very interesting to see what the Bucks can do.
And Tyler, to address the Bulls, I feel like the Bulls and the Mercury are going through the exact same thing. Not having a floor general is just killing them because you can have 2 to 3 superstars, and if you don't have your point guard, a solid point guard out there, being able to have good court vision and ball distribution, you're going to be lost. And unfortunately, you guys, even though y'all have um, Vucevic is not a superstar, but he has great nights. But with Zach LaVine and DeMar, great players, superstars, they're still kind of lost without their point guard. And so the same thing with the Mercury without Skylar Diggins-Smith. You got DT, you got BG, you got Sophie, but you don't have your point guard. You don't have your floor general. So it's going to be tough. And hate to see that for Lonzo. The Bulls have came out this last week and said that they don't expect him to play this season at all. And that's really sad because he was somebody that I really enjoyed watching because he's something that we call a true point guard. He's not somebody that's going to go out there and get you 30 points, but he's going to get you double digits assists for sure.
As much as I'd like for us to continue this basketball topic, it's been a lot of fun. Can let Candy take over and share a little bit about the NCAA World Series that just concluded last night. Candy, can you fill us in?
I sure can. So it has been a whirlwind of a World Series for the college game. After a day, LSU went from a low point of the season to the ultimate high in the span of 24 hours. A day after it gave up the most runs ever in a college World Series game, they lost 24-4. They cranked up their offense and won its first national title since 2009 with an 18-4 victory over Florida Monday night. They also did it the College World Series, which is played in Lincoln, Nebraska, actually had a final draw total of 392,946,000 fans. Per game, they averaged 24,559, which is the best in their 73-year history of holding the College World Series in Nebraska.
That's impressive.
That is impressive.
And Mike, we did the WNBA update on the first half of the show. Sorry.
You missed it, Mike. You got to catch the beginning part. But yeah.
Sorry, Mikey.
LSU, it was their 7th time winning the College World Series. There is only one team that actually has won more, and that would be Southern California with 12 so far. But the last time they won it was back in 1998. So LSU has been kind of on top lately. But let's take me out to another ball game. Let's take me out with the crowd. Let's go to none other than the MLB. And where did they travel to this past weekend? None other than London. And with the crowd, they played 2 games over there. Over 110,000 fans were in attendance for the 2 games. So they wanted to span London just like the NFL, and everybody's trying to get more market share, more awareness, sell more tickets, get more fans for all these clubs so all their merchandise can get. So kudos to the MLB it was great. They played where they had played the 2012 Olympic Games. So I thought that was cool.
And who was it that won?
It was Cubs versus Cardinals. Let's see. The Cubs, I know, won the first game. Did they win the second one? I'm trying to think. I'll try and check that for us. Let me see. The Cubs won one game, and where's the other one?
I thought it was a split, and I may be wrong.
Yes, you are correct. It was a split. So the Cardinals won Sunday. The Cardinals beat them 7-5 on Sunday, and Saturday the Cubs took them to them 9-1. So they did split.
Yeah, the Cardinals game, I did not even. I tuned out very quickly on the score Saturday. I'm like, yeah, no.
But it was cool to see. Those are two very popular teams in, the two Heart of America. They were the ones that played at the Field of Dreams the year before. So,
Right.
it was really good to see them. And they're talking about, and I forget which teams. I thought it was playing at a very, very, very old stadium. I think San Francisco Giants are going to, isn't it?
And the Cardinals.
And the Cardinals.
Yeah,
where they played
is.
the Negro teams. The Negro League.
That's right. So it is actually the oldest professional stadium still up. That's the one we talked about was it last week or the week before? But yeah, we talked about that too. So even though the Cardinals are having a rough season and the Cubs too, they got to play some really cool venues,
Right.
That's a definite thing. And one last thing before we end our show with you, we do appreciate you all staying, is the Special Olympics World Games were held this last weekend in Berlin. Being a Missouri girl, this one kind of pretty cool. A gentleman by the name of Phillips, Charlie Phillips, I believe is his name, has been competing with in the track and field in the Special Olympics for the last 15 years. He's moved to just being a weightlifter, and he brought home four medals, 3 silver and a bronze. He was silver in the overall. And he was on a show. This is what kind of endeared me to him, is from Missouri, you would think he'd be a Chiefs fan, and he was able to meet with Andy Reid somehow. And they asked him what he said to Andy. He goes, I told him I didn't root for him in the Super Bowl. I'm like, oh, I love you. Not because you rooted against us, but I'm just like, you're on the stage. Being honest. That's pretty awesome. His goal was, his hero is Michael Phelps, and he always looked up to him. And he said, I got to be like Michael Phelps and bring home multiple medals. And that was pretty touching. There was another weightlifter, and I know I saw the story. I cannot find it again, and my apologies. I'll try to post it on 3 Chicks on a Pod face group. But there was a deadlifter that got up out of his wheelchair for the first time and deadlifted his weight and was able to pick it up. And it was like the crowd was not expecting that, or most of the people around him was not expecting that. So it was a really touching moment. Again, my family was touched by my mother was paraplegic, and so things like that. I know the determination and the mental will that took. I watched it firsthand, so neat to see things like that, and it touches my heart very closely.
Absolutely,
that's awesome.
All right, well,
is there anything else that we want to share with?
No, I think that's it for us this week. We appreciate all of y'all. Oh, I want to chime in on that comment. Yes, and Willie Mays played there, Joseph also.
So that's cool.
Right. Thank you guys for sharing or commenting. And if there's any topics that you guys want to talk with us, feel free to message us or post in the group and tag us, and we will cover whatever topic y'all want to talk about.
Absolutely.
We'll see you back next week.
Thanks, everyone.